Hello, everybody. Good evening. It's Wednesday night. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't know how many of you joined our earlier webinars. So this is actually part 3, believe it or not. In June, the end of June, we actually introduced our JV varsity program for the new coming year. We also introduced the leadership program in June, the end of June as well. So this is part 3, really announced the rest of the program. But if you missed the early 2 parts, don't worry. We have all recorded both sessions. And if you are on the mailing list, you probably have received the recording already. If not, let us know. We'll send a copy to your inbox. And okay, without further ado, I'm super excited. Just want to announce some program updates. That's really the meat of the presentation. We have some updates on the assessment as well. This is how we like to keep improving our program quality, is really to track the performance, the student performance. So our coaches on the line today, we have Coach Anna and also Coach Asha. They will be taking on respective updates for us. I think if you are new, welcome. If you are existing students or parents, welcome back. And we're super excited and looking forward to working with you in another season. And this is our 9th season. We have been doing this. And at the end, we will give some logistics, how to get enrollment, how to register, and so you can get really the learning on the way. Okay, for those of you who are new, I just want to tell you a little bit about our mission. As I mentioned, this is our 9th season, but we haven't really changed the mission much. And we're thinking about this mission is more relevant than ever, is we want to provide the 4C-based enrichment program. What is 4C? It's communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Those are, don't take our word, those are actually the most essential skill set. And almost all corporate, all enterprise believe are the most essential skills anyone can have. And we want to play hopefully a small role, hopefully big role, right? To help train your kids and to have those skills. And it happens to be speech and debate, we believe, are the best ways for you to acquire those skill sets. And I want to provide a roadmap before we dive into the program updates. So for new students or new parents, you know where sort of our programs, how does the whole thing play with each other. And if you look at this, a little bit busy, but if you look at the bottom part, that's our core curriculum. This is where the magic happens, our speech and debate training. And it starts at the little orator portion, which is really the foundation of a lot of initial skill set building. And Coach Anna will spend a lot of time on this. This is the first part. We actually revamp our program from the ground up. Then on the left-hand side, the green portion, those blocks, that's our competitive track. But starts with art of public speaking. That's another foundational level courses that we want all the students to have. Think about like a sampler in some way before any students dive into any specific competitive track, and they can take this AOPS. It's really short for art of public speaking. They can take that and really to sample different genres, I would say, in speech and debate. Then once they complete that, they can do different tracks: limited prep, inter-platform debate. And then we also have MUM mock trial at different times. And then, so today we'll be focusing on this limited prep. We have a new program we'll be launching in that track. And from there, we have competitive lab. It's almost like a science. If you take science class, you have labs, is the hands-on portion. So you can get a lot of practice done and be ready for any competitions. So that's our competitive track in the core curriculum. Then on the right-hand side, we have the non-competitive, because guess what? Not everybody wants to be competing, because it's a time-consuming extracurricular. And if you don't want to do that, especially if you are high schoolers, you have limited time, but still want to master those 4C skills, don't worry, we have this purple track, which is the non-competitive. Starts with art of communication, then branch off that, we have different programs. Now, just a heads up, we're actually still developing this, but Coach Asha will actually talk more about this non-competitive track a little bit more. And we have launched the AOC a while ago. This is our second and third cycle doing that. So for those of you who are interested in the non-competitive track, and you can really pay attention to that and ask questions as well. Then after that, I call it's the plus, or the electives. And we have the JV and varsity team are our competitive teams, and who are really focused, dedicated in competing, and including those travel tournaments. We travel to different tournaments and throughout the season. And so that's the part we announced the end of June. If you're interested, but it does have some prerequisites. If you're interested, you can check out that program. Then we also, on the right-hand side, on the non-competitive side, is we have the speech and debate, the leadership club. We put students on the other side of speech and debate, have them operate tournaments, doing a service project, and including even a passion project. So those are really the place for students to gain real world 4C skills, I would say. So that's our roadmap. I'm gonna really stop here. If any newcomers, if you have questions, feel free to ask later on. We'll be handing out here after the presentation. But if you need more context, let us know. But today we'll be focusing on this 1, 2, 3. Those are the program updates we'll be going through. So I'm gonna have Coach Anna take over to talk about update number 1, Little Orator.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Coach Anna, and I work with the little guys. And a lot of parents ask, when is the good age to start a public speaking and communication classes? And we say the sooner the better. And here's why. The kids are not really born with the fear of public speaking. And what is the fear of public speaking is when they don't really want to talk to other people. When they want to make friends, but no one raise hands in class. And they develop it because they don't know how. So the sooner we teach them how to talk to other people, the more confident they are, the more likely they raise their hand in class and they say, yes, I know the answer. And yes, I do want to make friends. And yes, I want to talk to other people. So that's why we have the little guys in our classes. And you are here because as a parent, we all want to give the skills to the little kids for them to be able to succeed in school, in the family, in life, in overall. And we give that base, we give that beginning, those little Orators essentials. The classes are designed for them to develop those basic skills. If we can have the next slide, please. And the class is designed, it lasts for a year. It has a part A and a part B, and it has a compounding effect. The kids are learning how to structure their thoughts, in the first part, and in the second part, they learn how to analyze the thoughts, how to develop their thoughts. So for the whole year, they're learning how to build those skills, how to listen, they learn how to express, they learn how to structure, they learn how to become a better communicators. And what does it do? What are the benefits? Can we get a next slide, please? And the benefits are they becoming an active listeners. The active listeners are the ones who are not just listening to hear, but they actually listen to understand. They become confident. They become collaborative communicators, meaning in groups they speak. They become critical thinkers. So they're not just whatever, they actually problem solving, they are creating, they are self-esteem, their self-esteem boosts, they are becoming a better schoolers, so they have a better grades. So in schools, in families, in overall, we are getting a better communicators because they become confident. And that's what we do want our little orators to have, that base, to have that skill for them to build from there. And here is the best part. Here are a few our little stars and their accomplishment. Mr. Ray, look at those faces with the awards. Look at those faces whose confidence is boosted. Look at those stories. Those are little guys who actually took the courses, who build their skills and who are ready to present. And some of the things they say, why did they take their courses? Because they like telling stories, and because we all have stories and we shall tell it. Some of their highlights, my confidence is more, I boosted it. I like to persuade my friends. I like to be in school. What else do we want more as a parents than our children to say, I feel confident? And this is what the Little Orators class does. It boosts the confidence. It tells our kids that, yes, I can. And that's the whole idea for us, to build those essential skills in the Little Orators. What do they go after that, Mr. Ray? Well, first of all, they get a certificate. After completing our Little Orators Essential course, they get a certificate. From there, they go into our competitive side. Yes, you were in the correct place. Yes, there is a competitive track. From there, Little Orators are building their confidence to start competing into internal tournaments that are our older students put together, the leadership clubs put together a tournaments for the little kids. They're competing and they're learning the skills in a safe environment to once again build their skills, boost their confidence before we put them into the bigger world and explore a bigger world of the speech and debate. And they are learning, they are debate, which is where they learn how to structure their opinions, support their opinion, and not just I want it, but they're learning to say, I think this is what it is because, and they support it. They are learning how to interpret. That's the interpret, where they put their own spin into the words of somebody else already creating things. And they learn how to think quick, which is the limited prep, when they organize their thoughts on the spot. And from that point, they actually learn how to get their thoughts together, how to present. They get prepared for that adult, well, not adult, that big competing world. And that's where they get their assessments, and that's where they actually start getting their grades in a sense. That's when we start preparing them into that competitive mindset, and that's where getting ready to go into that big world. And with that, Coach Asha is going to tell us all about what is the next step from the Little Orators. This is a little visual for you, the base step, the foundation, the must-have for the 1st through 3rd grade, for them to be confident, for them to be ready, for them to have all they need, all the skills they need, not just for speech and debate, but for them to be confident in school, for them to be confident at the playground, for them to be confident at home, and for them to feel like they can use their words, and for them to feel like, I can do this. Coach Asha, you tell us all about the rest. I have to run. It's been a pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Coach Anna. Coach Asha, before you start, I just want to maybe add a couple comments for Little Orator, then you can take over, just add more, and then then also continue with the program updates. So one thing, obviously, when we started the Little Orator, that was about probably at the very beginning, 8 or 9 years ago. I think the reason we haven't been updating the Little Orator for a while, and the reason we want to do this is really we want to kind of have that spiral learning going. And if you notice, for those who have been doing our competitive track and our essentially the program third grade and up programs in the past, you will notice we're actually mimicking with the AOPS and then the competitive track. So you have this little essential layer, then you have the little branch off, the limited prep, interp, and debate. So that opens a lot of possibilities for us. So I'm gonna have Coach Asha maybe add a little bit comments on this and then continue with the program updates.
Yeah, so I'm gonna add mostly from the perspective of two parts, why the LO competitive, besides mimicking what we're doing with the upper grades, but we're starting to see a lot of those little orders are ready for the next level, right? But there is a difference between competition for upper elementary and the younger students. So we want to start building those foundations of competition and how to be successful in competition in the LO competitive track. So that's where they're going to be starting to build from the confidence, the listening skills, the communication, collaboration, into how do I hone these into a specific event. So I want to be very clear, essentials is skill building. It will not be focusing on events, they'll be focusing on skill building, whereas the competitive track is actually going to prepare them to compete in the circuits that we compete in. And I think this is really going to help the students to have a funnel, to have a focus that can take them all the way through till college if they wanted to. And they're going to have better outcomes and success outcomes because they're starting with no bad habits, or at least we're going to build in good habits. So I think just to answer one other question, if you are a returning student, you have options. If you have a returning LO student, they can take our LO competitive track. If they've taken our old LO format, they can go into the LO competitive track. But for new students, we are going to encourage them to do the LO essentials first. That doesn't mean a returning student can't do LO essentials. Again, it's going to be more focused on skill building. So as for parents, if there's an area where you're like, yes, they've taken LO, but they still need to work on their confidence, they still need to work on their listening, they are more than welcome to take the LO essentials. But if they are ready, if you feel like that my student is ready to take the next step, LO competitive is really where they're going to be honing those skills. And I think we had on the other slide, this fall, we'll be starting with LO limited prep, which is a kind of actually a little bit of a newer concept. We have mostly focused on interp with the little orders, and some do a little bit of SPAR, but this is going to be really diving in to limited prep as a whole for them. And then in the spring, we'll be launching the other two tracks. So look forward to those because I'm really excited. We're going to have our first LO debate, which is going to be, again, something very new, but we really believe strongly and passionately that these kids have so much more potential than we may give them credit for. And so they can take on the challenge and be successful. So I think that's the only thing I have to add for the LO stuff. Moving on. So again, this is a live stream. This is a session all about new things that we're going to be launching in the fall, and limited prep may be something that our returning parents are like, wait, my student took limited prep. Well, this fall, we are very excited to add, in addition to limited prep, which focuses mainly on impromptu and SPAR, we are going to be focusing on and expanding into extemporaneous speaking. So go ahead and go to the next slide. Let's talk about what is extemporaneous speaking. So this is a word that I'm sure most people are not familiar with, but first and foremost, it is a limited prep event. So that means they're still learning how to critically think on their feet. But this is an event that teaches them and starts to branch into research skills and introduces them to current events. So this introduces them to local, national, and worldwide issues. Because one of the things that students get older, it's really important that they start to become what we like to call global citizens. So globally informed and globally aware of the world around them, and learning how to filter that in a positive and correct way. So who is this class for? Well, this is for the students who may be interested in debate, or students who've already taken our limited prep class and are needing a little bit more of a challenge. So if you're coming out of limited prep, or if you're not ready to commit to debate, this Extemp class is going to be an excellent addition for those students who want to continue learning how to give limited prep speeches. Continue on to the next slide. So, but why should their students take it? Well, again, we kind of talked a little bit about this, but they're going to gain a knowledge of current events. They're going to start learning a little bit about thesis and speech writing strategies, which are going to be very important, especially for students who are going into high school and going into college. I have worked with both of these age groups, and I can tell you, these are critical skills. And we're seeing more and more that students are getting to the college level and they don't have these skills, and it is a huge learning curve. So these are really critical to start learning about. They're going to learn how to do rapid analysis. They're going to increase their critical thinking, research skills, and logic building. But I think the next slide says it best. So don't take my word for it. I'm so proud to present one of my former students who is in college now. She's at UC Berkeley on the pre-law track. And it's so amazing to see students who I've worked with before. And she talks about, in this little blurb here, how not only was Extemp one of her favorite events, but how it really built her knowledge of how to research, how to speak confidently, and really gave her invaluable skills that have helped her in her college journey at Cal State Berkeley, UC Berkeley. Whoops, don't want to make that mistake. So at UC Berkeley, again, in the pre-law track. So again, it is always such a wonderful experience to see students who have been with us before, and now they've taken the next step and they're able to say, this thing helped me immensely. And so we couldn't be more proud of our student Cassidy, but you can see she can even is kind of discussing how Extemp benefit her past just the competition. So I think that's all we have for limited prep Extemp, correct?
I believe so, but if I may actually add a comment to Cassidy. Cassidy is one of my college planning student as well. So, and I think I observed the growth that Cassidy had. When she started, she was doing different type of speech and debate events. I'm glad she honed in on Extemp, I think in the last year or so. And she did really, really well. If I recall correctly, I think she did break for one of the, I think one of at the NSDA, I believe. It's been a couple years already, but we all remember Cassie was one of our favorite students.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I believe she was a quarterfinalist. It was either octo or quarter. I get those mixed up at National Speech and Debate Association. And that was amazing because that was her first year and her last year that she got to do it, because she graduated the following year. But she had really put in the work and she always showed up willing to learn and improve, and just goes to show that, when you really learn the skills and put in the time and effort, it pays off. So yeah, she's an amazing student and a credit to Extemp.
Yeah.
Okay, so going on to our next new item for the fall, we're going to talk about art of communication. Now, art of communication was born out of the need to give students who maybe aren't ready to compete yet, because I want to clarify our competitive tracks is preparing students with the goal to go out and practice these at tournaments. And these are very specific type of speech skills, right? So speech is not done in a bubble. And that's where we decided to do art of communication would come along to fill the gap, to give students who are not ready to compete, who are not interested in competing, or who are looking for more real world communication skills, a place to go. We launched it just last season as a pilot, and now we are coming back strong and ready to really help students to work on real world skills. So art of communication focused on real world communication skills such as nonverbal and verbal communication, perception, listening skills, communication in various contexts, conflict resolution, networking, argumentation and critical thinking, presentation, and interview skills. So the question, go ahead and go to the next slide, is who should take AOC or art of communications? So this is for students who are mainly looking to improve their communication skills, especially students who maybe came out of AOPS, which is art of public speaking, and who are like, I want to continue skill building, but are maybe a little too old for Little Orators essentials, right? So these are for students who are not ready for competitive track, students who need to work on real world communication skill building. But why take AOC? So this is one of the things that I am most excited for this class, because they're going to actually get to actively practice things that they need for, again, high school, for college, for getting a job. So there's going to be interview skills practice. They're going to learn both how to give different types of interviews and how to handle those interviews. Presentation skills, especially if you have students, you know that more and more as they get into middle school and high school, presentations become required in a lot of courses. And so learning how to present is an essential skill. Interpersonal skills. So this goes into like what we talked about on the last slide, conflict resolution. Especially if you've had to do group projects, and a lot of students have to do group projects, learning how to navigate working with other people in a way that doesn't lead to, everyone getting angry at each other and no progress actually happening. And finally is college prep. Like I said, again, all the skills in this course are actively preparing them for real scenarios they're going to face as they prepare to apply to colleges or when they get into colleges. Go ahead and go into the next. So we can see a little kind of recap. This is the non-competitive track. So again, after this, we're going to be building on top of these skills. We'll branch out into specific areas of focus. And again, those will be launching coming soon. We've already done business communications in the summer. So this is going to be regrounding our students to give them a track into things like business communication, STEM writing, digital presentation, global citizen. And in those courses, they will do deep dive. But before they get to that, art of communications is going to give them the foundation. We're very big about foundations, if you guys can tell. Anything you want to add on to that way?
Well, for the most part, I think when you look at the competitive and non-competitive, it's not mutually exclusive. And our goal is really to have students to have those 4C skills, whatever it takes. And this could be really different entry point, I would say. And if students does not want to do competitive track initially, this will be a very good entry point for them, and vice versa. So, and really, you can do both. I think the one thing I want to add, the AOC track, this non-competitive track, we will be mentoring a lot of classes in a college or even master degree programs. And you can see we are very ambitious, and we're trying to have the students have those skill set early on.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that way, because that is exactly right. A student takes AOC, it does not exclude them from taking competitive. It actually, I think what I'd like to say is it adds another dimension onto their competitive experience, because at the end of the day, all of this is to make them better communicators. So all of these classes are going to help with that. And also, as we kind of mentioned too, which streamlines perfectly into the next update, is that a lot of these are based on college classes. Like specifically, when I wrote the curriculum for AOC, was looking at my college experience, looking at classes I took in college and the skills that I needed. And so that is really like kind of, again, giving this to a younger audience to prepare them in advance. So that works perfectly into talking about our assessment updates. So we'll go ahead and first give a little background. If you've been with us before, you already know that we do some form of assessment. We have started to streamline that even more so. Usually, if you haven't been checking your emails, make sure you are. But at the end of a semester, parents get a assessment, which kind of explains what their students worked on in the class and some basic idea of how they did, right? What events they did, and then recommendations. We are now ready to take that to the next level. We want to give parents more insight into what is happening in the classroom. And we want to give you guys kind of what I like to call return on investment, where you can start to say, like, if my student's taken this class twice, do they need to take it again? Well, you can now start to use the assessments to sort of gauge what the need is and where to go from there. So we're wanting to hone on this more formally. So one of the things we're going to start with is for Little Orators Essentials, Art of Public Speaking and Art of Communication, there will be some basic level assessment components. There are no formal grades, however, but they will complete a minimum number of in-class speeches. They will be looked at their classroom behaviors. That's something we include in their assessment. And upon completing those courses, they will receive a certificate of completion. So that means that they've completed LO Essentials, they're ready to move on to the next level. So again, we're streamlining and kind of, again, utilizing some things that you may have already be familiar with if you're returning. But if you're new, this is just what to expect as a standard. We want to create that standard. For our competitive tracks, however, something that is going to be new this fall is we are going to be standardizing. So you're going to now see on these assessments an expectation of students completing in-class speeches. There will be a midpoint and final knowledge check to see what did they actually learn. They will have weekly reflections, and there will be classroom expectations that are monitored and weighed. And the whole goal is that this assessment now is going to be much more robust. It is going to include actual breakdowns that you can see, not just, oh, my student learned impromptu, but how many times they spoke and how well score-wise they were doing in impromptu. The goal is twofold. One, to give you ability to track your student success, but two, so that when we're sending them to competitions, they'll be able to track their own success. So we're really excited to bring the standardization to our competitive tracks starting this fall.
Awesome. I want to add in this, I think this is an exciting step and also a very critical step for us to move away, just perceive as an after-school enrichment class to a more standardized and more formal type of training. And we, like Coach Asha mentioned about, we want to provide insights for the student and for the parent, and also have a way for us to keep tracking of the students' progress. And so if they are in year 2 or year 3, we kind of know, looking back, how much growth or possibly setback. And if it's setback, it will give us a little bit more data points for us to troubleshoot. But it, you know, for the most part, we're hoping that students are growing every single semester, and we'll keep them on track to help them pursue their goals, regardless if it's competitive or non-competitive.
Yes. So kind of just to wrap this up, I think at the end of the day, you know, when you send your kid to our program, we are training them in communication, as we've mentioned multiple times. And by standardizing this, we want to be able to say, as Wei mentioned, like in year 1, year 2, high school, college, that we were able to give that student exactly that, right? We were able to train them to be the best communicator they could possibly be. So this standardization just helps us to create a platform with which they can launch from. So we're so excited, and we hope the parents will see the benefit of being able to see, you know, what are they actually learning and how is it actually, you know, helping them to grow as communicators. So I'm so excited about, you know, offering this standardization for the competitive track. I think that's all I have for you. So I'll turn it over to Wei to talk about the next steps for the fall. So thank you so much for listening to me. And again, if there's any questions at the end, I will be around to answer any questions. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Coach Asha. Okay, so I'm gonna take maybe just a couple minutes, give you the logistics. How do you do the enrollment? What's the timeline? So it should be super straightforward. And if you are on our mailing list, you should have received an email and sharing about the full catalog. So that's our assets essentially to talk about what are the programs available. I'll quickly walk through. If you're existing students or parent, you should have seen this familiar doc, multiple seasons already. If you are new, that's our catalog that will show everything that help you to figure out the program you want to select. Then in terms of the enrollment timeline, we'll open up the registration as usual. Is really 2 weeks after we release the catalog. That's the buffer time we built in for parents to ask the questions and also really review and figure out what schedule could work for you. We understand there are a lot of conflicts, just a lot of commitment that the student needs to do during the school year. And we welcome for you to reach out to us if you have any questions on those. Then once we open up the registration, we'll be running promotion, okay, 10% off. I'm a parent too, so I like those. I want to grab the class when it's their discount available. So for Anaheim online classes, we will be running from July 31st to August 11th. That's 2 weeks. For Irvine, it's managed by our partner, Irvine Chinese School. So they run it around the same window, but they are running slightly differently, August 1st to August 15th. But it's the same amount of discount, 10% off all the classes. And there are only a few exceptions. It's just the leadership and also JV varsity. Everything else, you will get that 10% off. And the first day of class is usually always the day after the Labor Day. So that's something, if you've been with us for a while, kind of that's how we kick off the season, right after the holiday. And then we will be finishing the enrollment in a couple of weeks, the end of the September months. And during those couple of weeks, it's almost like kind of like college classes. It's an open enrollment window. You can test out if you're not totally sure if that's the right class you should take. There's still room for changes. And if you have questions, that's the time, we can help you to match to better classes if needed. And once that's done, we do want the students to really put you on the path. Let's commit to that, and let's hopefully move towards the outcome that we set every single class to do. Okay, so those are the timeline for the enrollment. Super straightforward. Starts on July 31st. Okay, I want to mention about some deadlines as well. So for those of you that were listen to our JV Varsity and Leadership program, there are some important deadlines. And I do want to mention there are a couple of deadlines that are coming up already. So for Varsity All-Star and the Leadership, we have the early deadline coming up on August 1st. So if you're interested in doing those, that next week will be the time to actually commit to that. There are a lot of things we planned already. We're ready to kicking them off. Then for JV starter and varsity, there's some later deadlines. Varsity All-Star has a final deadline as well. So if you're interested, those are the application links we shared before. You can grab those. And if you missed the recording, obviously we can share that as well. So I think that's the end of the info session actually. And so if you have any questions, you can reach out to us through the email or through our main line. And I want to open up for questions.
Hi there. I don't know if I needed to raise my hand or if I can just go ahead and ask
Oh,
away.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, jump in.
Sorry about that. You know, I was on another call, so I joined in very late. I've got an 8-year-old going into 3rd grade this year, and basically your program it's at the in Irvine. Is that the what is it? The Southern California Chinese Cultural Chinese School over there?
Yes, also known as Irvine Chinese School. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I apologize if you've touched on this already. As far as scheduling goes, it's pretty much after school. Is it a Monday through Friday program?
Correct. Oh, you know what? Thanks for the reminder. Actually, I was going to walk through the catalog really quick so you guys can see. Let me see if I can bring that up quickly. Yes, it is all classes are scheduled after school. Then we also have Saturday classes as well. So let me do 1 second. Okay, sorry, I kind of interrupted you. Do you have specific questions?
No, basically the schedule
Oh, yeah,
when it starts, and then
Yes.
transportation's on our own, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you go to qdlearning.net/fall catalog, that's how you can load up the latest. By the way, don't copy this link because we do, I'll show you. So essentially, if you're new, first time looking at this, it is a busy doc, and we will be putting the registration link on July 31st, midnight. And that's how you can click the link. It'll take you to the form, the Google form, and Irvine, it's using the active registration site. So those are 2 different registration systems. But the program is listed. We have the descriptions, and you can see some details about what we are offering. And then it's separated by different campuses. So that's the first one is the Anaheim, our main campus, with the in-person classes. So it's separated by grade as well. So if you keep going, look at the dates. We listed the tuition as well. That's before the discount. Now keep going. Then we have the online classes listed by grades. Then the Irvine campus. Okay, so those are the main information you can look. And one thing I want to add is we actually, if you have taken classes with us before, we will be pushing out some course recommendations. For those of you are returning, maybe you have taken some gap semesters or gap year, then let us know. We still have records, but we're not pushing the recommendation directly. We push the recommendation for students who have taken the classes in the spring and summer. So look for those. But if you have questions on which one you should be taking, and we will be happy to answer. But if you're new, it's very easy to pick the class. If you are in grades, your kids is in grade 1st grade to 3rd grade, Little Orator Essentials. Look for that part A. That's what you should be signing up for. And then if you are upgraders, 3rd grades or up, you should be signing up either Art of Public Speaking, shooting for the competitive track, or Art of Communication for the non-competitive track. If you're 3rd grade, if you notice that 3rd grade, it seems to be okay either way, Little Orator or Art of Public Speaking. We kind of designed designed on purpose in that, not to confuse you guys. It's just third grade is the level wise, we see a lot of variance on that. If your kids is not like English literacy and also just overall maturity level, maybe it's already advanced for third grade, they can really move on to the upgrade track, do the art of public speaking. Otherwise, we recommend take it slowly, just do the little orator essentials, and the skill set will be spiraled in any way. So that actually will be more beneficial for many of the students. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. One more thing is, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at your screen right now.
Okay.
On the Irvine beginner, so this is just a once a week class, it looks like. For
Yes.
example, if I'm gonna do the Little Orator Essentials A,
Yeah.
that's available in Irvine on Saturdays.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, during the school year, it's all weekly classes.
Okay. Perfect,
Okay.
thank you.
No problem.